Hey nerds, it's Jerry from Them Nerds with my buddy Tony here. We're here to talk about the new Disney Plus series Loki, episode 3. But before we get into that, let's talk about our giveaway. We're going to be giving away a Funko Pop of Shang-Chi somewhere on the screen. It's magic, folks.
It's in my hands through the magic of video editing.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. You know, your interactions keep us going, so you got to make sure you write down something below so we can go ahead and keep the magic coming.
Absolutely.
So, Tony, what'd you think of episode 3 of Loki?
I loved it. This show, I've enjoyed the whole, 3 episodes they've given us so far, but I really like this one. We're getting to know Lady Loki, aka, for those of you in the know who read the internet, the Enchantress, perhaps. Sylvie, we'll call her, as she is referred to by Loki during the show. We get basically an adventure with the two of them. They end up on a doomed planet, as is her MO, landing in places where apocalypses are about to happen. And of course, hijinks ensue and they try to do, trickstery things. And it was great. I thought it was paced well. I liked the humor. Little minor character reveal about Loki, which any fan of any sort of mythology should not be surprised about, that he is at minimum bisexual, likely pansexual. Not really a big surprise. The thing that struck me about this episode, and I texted you about it, it's like, how much did they spend on the special effects on this episode? It was really well done.
I agree totally with you about it. I think that this episode, and I have been saying this since we talked about this show even becoming a possibility, and there have been all these rumors about there's going to be Lady Loki and there's going to be Kid Loki and there's going to be this. I was like, this has such the possibility of being the Doctor Who of Marvel, and that's what this episode felt like. Sure. It's this idea of one of the Lokis having a little bit more idea of what's going on in the world, whereas this other Loki that we all know, that we thought is the all-knowing Loki, kind of being guided as the companion. And I think that ultimately what it comes down to, and I'm just putting this together from, watching what I feel like although there's a bond being built between the two of them, I think she's holding her cards close, and I don't think she is who we think she is at the very end of it.
Could be. Yeah, you mentioned Doctor Who, and it's funny that you mentioned that because I got that vibe too. The whole like doomed planet sort of setting kind of smacked of Doctor Who for me also.
So it has a very, if anybody who's a fan of this show or watches what we write our work on, watches Doctor Who, there's a story arc that goes along with this River Song character, that when she gets brought in, you're actually meeting her at the tail end of her story. And then as the story continues on, you're seeing that she's had this whole life that you slowly get revealed to you, until she finally is brought to this place where he brings her to this place where they get married, and they're going to listen to these bells atone for and she thinks this is the last day of my life, when she finds out that last day actually lasts like 300 years. So she's getting another 300 years with this person. And that's what this whole episode is. It's this idea that we all know Tom Hiddleston as Loki is done. Thanos took care of that for us. So we're passing the baton to somebody new, and yet still giving us closure over the character that we all mourned of the death, because we had grown so so many feelings about this character because he was so good at the role. Like, we're not quite ready to see him go, but we also know that the trickster has to continue to keep going on.
Sure. And with the emergence of time travel and also the multiverse in the main continuity of the MCU, it only makes sense that we would end up with variations on the characters. As much as Tom Holland is perfect for the role of Peter Parker and Spider-Man, it only makes sense that at some point we may see a Ben Reilly, or we may see a Miles Morales. We're moving into Riri Williams with Ironheart. We're moving into Sam as Captain America. These variations have to happen for the MCU to continue on the trajectory that it's been, going. Also, with this kind of emergence of this, you mentioned the whole River Song, kind of backward storyline, and Loki going back in time, all these things. Kevin Feige recently said that from here on out, you're going to be seeing a lot more in terms of prequels and origin stories to help flesh out some of the storylines that we're going to see in the MCU. I wouldn't be surprised to see Tom Hiddleston hang around as his version of Loki in a completely different continuity, sort of in a Doctor Who sort of role, bouncing around through time and space, working with the TVA or, working on his own accord, whatever, as sort of a separate thing.
Yeah, I think that's the best part about comics, is that nobody's ever really gone. I mean, right. You're only as gone until the next writer comes on and says, I want to bring that person back. Mm-hmm. So, but yet we all know that characters have to have some kind of demise to keep the story going on. Yet we also want to continue to see those stories going on. And this is such a good way to do it, that you're passing the baton. You're not saying I'm not done with you yet, but you're giving us the ability to grow some attachment to the new characters that are being taken on. And really, when we're all talking about the multiverse coming to Disney or to Marvel in general, we have to be prepared for this kind of stuff. There's going to be a new Iron Man. Eventually they're going to have to do something with Black Panther. And we just have to be able to figure out, how do we make the story go on that you could continue having your loyalty to the original, but then here's, 2.0. So, and that's definitely what they're giving us with this Loki situation. One thing I also liked was, I said the thing about Doctor Who. There was also a lot of similarities to Star Wars with, Ben Solo with these aren't the droids you're looking for kind of situation where, Loki decides he's going to go ahead and, I guess, change his outfit to look like one of the guards, or whatever, and right. Walk her onto the boat onto the train. That's what it reminded me a lot of Star Wars. Yeah.
Yeah, the old Obi-Wan Kenobi on Tatooine.
Yeah.
Jedi mind trick. Yeah, good stuff. This show, and we've said this about our other Disney Plus Marvel shows that we've gotten. It does such a good job of blending action, comedy, drama, suspense. They're really well done shows, and they look like a movie. When you watch them, the quality is top notch. They're not skimping, and these are high budget shows, so they're obviously not skimping. But it feels like they're not skimping. It feels like they want this to be part of the MCU, and it feels like it.
I think that also, there's characters that we've lost, like from years ago, like Frigga, who was killed in Dark World, who is still being brought up because this Loki isn't that, disconnected from his family yet. He's still, he hasn't even made it to Thor Dark World yet. So it's this idea that his mother is the one who took the time to teach him who he could be and what kind of sorcerer he could be, or, trickster he could be. Whereas she's the exact opposite. Her mother dies when she's very young. She has no connection to that idea. So it gives us the impression that because she knows she was adopted, that maybe Odin stepped in there and taught her what she needed to learn to be able to continue on and be the kind of person she was. I don't know. She also says that she taught it to herself, and I don't know if that's the complete story. I think that there has to be something in there also.
Sure.
So,
and those are the kinds of things that, when left open, they can always come back and revisit them in another season.
Yeah.
Or in another spinoff show, or in a film, or wherever they feel like putting it. You know what I mean?
I like when they leave season 6 and we get David Capaldi as Loki.
Oh boy, I'm gonna pull for a Tenant Loki.
What do you think of this idea that a lot of people are saying that they think that I will say his name wrong every single time because it's just the person I am. Mobius, did I say his name correct?
You said it correctly.
Yeah, that he may be another incarnation of Loki himself.
All right, I'll go with that.
Yeah,
I'll go with that. Now,
we did learn from this episode that these people that are working for the TVA aren't aware of who they really are, that they are variants. So that gives you the idea that maybe that's how you bring in mutants and everything else. Maybe these people are all just trapped there working for the man every day. They don't know that they actually are, superheroes themselves.
Right. Yeah. In
Yeah, that guy's really a fish.
In the previous episode, Mobius told Loki that everybody who works for the TVA was put there by the timekeepers, and that's it. And we find out in this episode, no, that's not the case. That TVA agent who Sylvie had taken and messed with her mind, she was just a regular old human being on Earth who liked margaritas.
Yeah,
I feel you on that one.
Who doesn't?
Right.
Sometimes I also spill secrets of margaritas, so I understand how it goes.
Or learn all kinds of things about the past, which opens up a lot of possibilities, just like you said. So
I think what we definitely don't know what's going to happen in the next episode. Right now, we're looking like our heroes are, in some kind of demise. They're stuck on this planet that's going to be destroyed by this moon that's going to crash into them. Very similar to, what happened in Endgame, where Thanos pulled the moon and crashed it into the planet on top of Iron Man. So who knows what's going to happen? But all we do know is that this series is absolutely amazing.
Absolutely. And let me butt my head in here for just a second. You said our heroes, which I think is such a hilarious look at, view of it, because Loki is a bad guy. Sylvie is a bad guy. We go back to Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Zemo was a bad guy. Sharon was kind of a tweener. And then we go back to WandaVision. Agatha was a bad guy.
Wanda is a bad guy.
Wanda is a bad guy. And we go through all of these characters and we think of them as heroes. And that just goes to show how well Marvel is developing these characters, because these don't feel like villains who are just on screen. We're meeting characters who have complex backstories and who are involved in action that makes us feel like we're invested in them, and it's great. I'm loving it.
Yeah, I think that's the difference between DC and Marvel. So DC, they draw a very strict line between who the villain is and who the hero is. Whereas Marvel, it's a game of chess. Sometimes the villain is the hero. They're all they're trying to do is get us to this point where this group of people I have makes it a little bit further. How many times has Doctor Doom, or Magneto, you're just trying to benefit a group of people. Right. What I mean? Like, by any means necessary. To those people, you're a hero. To somebody else, you're a villain.
Sure.
And so
or Namor.
Like Loki, he has it in him to be evil all the time. But when push comes to shove, he has been more good than he has been bad. So
at least in the MCU.
In the MCU especially, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's funny. So you get away with a lot of stuff when you're funny.
Right. It's true. Tell my wife that.
But what did you guys think, nerds? Let us know below. Don't forget about our giveaway. Like, subscribe, and comment for a chance to win this Shang-Chi Funko Pop. We'll probably be giving it around sometime around the movie release in September. So you have plenty of time, plenty of videos coming out in the future to be able to comment and like and subscribe and hit that notification bell and give us a thumbs up and check out all of our different plethora of media.
That's right. Don't forget to follow us on social media at We Them Nerds on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Check out our other videos here on YouTube at youtube.com/Them Nerds on YouTube. And stay tuned. In case you can't tell, Jerry and I have a little bit more color on our flesh these days. We just yesterday returned from a whirlwind adventure at Disneyland, and we will be bringing you some content that has to do with our experience there and some of the things that we saw and did. It was great.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was magical, some might say. At least that's what they say.
Yes, that's what they say. Yeah.
But until then, nerds, make sure to stay nerdy. What do you have? You want to have any final words, Tony?
Be good. Be good to each other.
Later, nerds.